Spicy Terry.
Oh.
Keep on moving, apologies, we're a little bit late this morning. We had some, it's my mum. Hi mum! Some technical difficulties this morning. Some of us may have had a little lie-in too. No prizes for guessing who that might have been. Morning, Spicy Terry.
So, as I said, guys, if you do have any questions, anything at all related to Jiu-Jitsu, drop it in the comments and we will answer those today. We're going to start off with some questions that we had over the weekend from Instagram and YouTube. And then we'll get into some theory, and then we have some practical questions later, a lot of stuff on the Peruvian neck tie, entering a single leg extra standing, how to defend knee bars, all these jazzy little things. So before we get started or into it all, we might wait just a second until there's probably some more people before I start asking some questions.
We could, so we've got Tyrone in there. Hey T-Bone, morning.
Yeah, good morning.
And Angelica too.
Angelica. One of the great photographers that graces our UK scene.
Yeah.
Let me turn this light off and see if this looks any better.
We could do some unicorn races. Whilst we're waiting. Mum, do you recognise these? Sorry guys. Slightly unprofessional.
Right.
So, obviously the weather is rubbish. Obviously we've been allowed to go outside for more exercise now, but stay at home. But naturally the weather has turned a little bit rubbish.
It's almost as though they can control the weather.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, shall we start with some of these questions?
Let's get started. 7 people in the chat.
Morning everyone, feel free to say hi.
All these faithful people sticking with us every week. We appreciate your consistency. And I hope you appreciate ours. Okay, first question. This is all coming from Sam's Instagram page. So if you're not already, get on over to Instagram and follow Samantha Cook at
Samantha Cook BJJ.
I'm a platter man.
Let's start with some of the less formal questions that were. So a few people, well actually, first of all my brother asked me who my favourite brother was. No prizes for guessing that one. Tommy Cook, of course, you're my favourite brother. Nice to see you're supporting Team Jiu Mondays. Where are you, brother? But then somebody also asked me, I think it was probably Lee.
Good morning, Gedson.
But how quickly can you tap your brother? Tommy's actually very difficult to submit because he's naturally athletic. I'd say between the two of us, I've probably been more consistent over the years and probably obviously progressed a bit more in Jiu-Jitsu. Obviously Tommy went the MMA route, but he's also very difficult, so the strategy is to make him tired. So if I can make him tired for the first 5 minutes, then usually I can make life difficult for him, but otherwise he makes life very difficult for me, despite probably being a little bit less consistent with his training. Kind of sucks. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
I don't know. You keep going. Keep going.
Oh, what, do you want to, that was the only question, really.
Oh.
The informal question that had come up.
In terms of my family, I only have women that train Jiu-Jitsu with me. So
And they are badass women.
Yeah. So I can't really tell you how quickly I would tap the ball because it's a little bit weird.
Yeah, because they would tap you.
Yeah. Laura would probably patter me, and Melissa would probably bow down and choke me.
I feel like Melissa would probably heel hook you right now after I see some very nice heel hook entries. Sorry, T-Ben. Hope your knees are okay.
Yeah. Melissa and Tyra have been learning a lot of leg locks recently. We've been doing some live training over some Zoom classes. So if you do want to train more with me or Samantha, we have a profile over on cornerme.com.
CornerMeBJJ.com. Yeah.
So CornerMe is a platform for you to learn, for you to learn from coaches that you wouldn't usually get the chance to learn from. So obviously there's a lot of different people. There are people from abroad, Max Lindblad, Paquito, Alina Mostan, loads of different instructors, international instructors. that you can get a chance to ask your questions with. And essentially the structure is you start off by sending us some footage of you either rolling or competing. We then analyse that footage, we watch it, we break it down, we say, okay, Brian, you should have done this or you should have done that. And then we say, what topics do you want to spend more time on? He says, oh, let's improve my single leg X, and then I send you a load of videos on improving single leg X. And then we go again, we look at another match, and we continue from there. So if you do want to learn from some of your favourite black belts, then jump on Corner Me BJJ and we can coach you from anywhere, even during this global crisis that we won't speak of.
And if you're not sure, and I'm only speaking for myself here because I would be happy to do this, but if you're not sure that it's something that you would benefit from and you don't necessarily want to splash the cash initially, just get in touch with us and we probably would be happy to give you a little bit of feedback on how, like some match analysis or some training advice first, and then if you feel like it's something you would benefit from and want to invest in, then you have the platform to use that service. Would you be happy to do that?
I think I'm already doing it. There's a little thing at the moment with Corner Me where people are sending in their matches just to be edited. So I'm not sending them technique videos, just doing breakdowns for them, just as a start to see how effective it is. And I think a lot of people still need to find out if I'm good at breaking down matches at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we've actually got an interesting one. I'm going to be doing Ashley Williams' match from Polaris.
Nice. Oh.
So I'm not sure which one it is, whether it's the most recent one where he armbarred somebody and almost broke his arm, which it's going to be difficult for me to break down because it's almost a perfect performance in his hometown. But yeah.
Tyrone, giving my knees a rest today.
Nice. Tyrone's having a rest day. Actually, it's Monday. We're training later, my friend.
No days off. Okay, more questions?
More questions. Let's get
13 people in the room. Good morning, everybody.
What's going on, everybody? If you haven't been here for the last 5 minutes,
8 minutes,
5 minutes, then drop a comment in the comment section. If you have any questions, then feel free to let us know. Otherwise, if you're just here for a good time, then stick some reggae on at home and chill out with us. We're going to go over some technique questions later, some from the Peruvian Neck Tie, defending knee bars and entering into single leg X from standing. Otherwise, we're just going to start off with some questions. So, let's get the first one out of the way, Sam. How do you stay focused and happy at a time like this?
With great difficulty. So obviously it's not an easy time for everybody. I generally have been quite fortunate in that I'm still able to go to work, and as much as that is an unprecedented and difficult time, I'm also able to contribute to the current situation. So my mental health and stability has been much better because of still having a purpose. I generally would really struggle. I'm the type of personality that likes a routine and likes, a reason to kind of get up in the morning. Whereas with Bradley, it's a lot easier, I think, or you'll have the personality type that can kind of manage the times like this with like self-direction and things, that I have things to focus on. Whereas I like to do lots of things, but I usually like to have a goal and a focus as to why I'm doing them. So for me, that's really helped to balance life. I've also started doing just some home training, and I'm also running to work. It's only about 5 kilometers, but most mornings when I get in, Bradley used to run with me. He's having a little lie-in recently. So for me, it's about a balance, and there are times where I literally just crash and burn, and so I'm on a schedule of 4 days of working and 3 days off now, which is actually really nice balance and something that I would appreciate more in the future, I think. But there are days where I don't do anything, and I am very lazy, and I may read a book, and I may not get out of bed. Those days I feel a bit rubbish, but it's fair enough. I give myself the chance to Hi Holly. I just say there's a work colleague of mine that's just come into the group, and there's a personal joke with a person called Eve. So Eve.
Oh, I thought it was for the Pokemon.
No, it's
that's a shame.
A strong female role model in my life who I'm very fond of. So yeah. I'm very fortunate. How would you answer this question? How would you maintain focus and happiness during this time?
I think it takes a few weeks of getting used to. I spent the first 3 weeks down at my computer screen just scrolling through YouTube, watching any trending video that I could find, until I eventually... Because originally my thought process was that you can't train Jiu-Jitsu if you don't have a partner. And obviously I'm here with Sam, we can do a little bit, so I'm not fully, not doing anything. But at the time we didn't have any mats. I was just sort of locked in the house and Sam was at work for the majority of the day.
And also very tired, so poor Bradley, I would come home from work, and during the first few weeks of this kind of whole lockdown and obviously the stress in the work environment, I didn't want to come home and roll. I must admit, I was pretty much going to bed, finish work at 6, get home by about 6:30, 7 o'clock, have dinner and go to bed. So Mr. Hill didn't really get much in the way of actual doing any jiu-jitsu with me either.
So originally my thought process is, well, this is just an off-season. We're not going to train jiu-jitsu for the next 4 months. What's going on, Charisse?
Hey, Charisse!
Blackman family. Peace out, George. Amar. Good to see you all. I'm going to have to say hello to
Zuri and you.
I was just doing the
whole
boys
family.
thing.
Yeah, you are, yeah.
Okay, so yes. It's very difficult right at the start to get into it, and then I started teaching some live classes with Fight Zone. So if anybody that is training with Fight Zone, make sure you get onto those live sessions. They're really fun, really engaging. We have that Zoom class with everybody, so there's loads of people in there watching and training alongside with us. I recently put a load of videos on YouTube for drills to do, like solo drills as well. There's actually a video going up today for a train with me at the same time, so it's like a 10-minute video, and then you can do all of the exercises at the same time as I do them, with the rest and the workout at the same time.
So it's basically having a purpose, isn't it? Having a purpose and a reason to do something.
No,
and the same as Team Chill Mondays. Like, we generally look forward to this because, it's become a regular thing. Hi, Zoe. And, we have quite a lot of engagement from you guys now. So, and yeah, it kind of gives you a bit of a purpose.
Yeah, just let me give my plugs. Yeah. So... then you start to realise that you can do a little bit of something, and anything is better than nothing. So originally, because the thing is any of these solo drills or watching footage, watching instructionals is almost, there's no reason to it if you can't then go and practice it on somebody. And that was my original thought process. And then when you start doing some solo drills, and I was the sort of person that would take the mick out of it and say, what's the point in grabbing your belt and shaking it around a little bit for 60 minutes? But it actually gets you moving. After the 3 weeks of not doing any jiu-jitsu or any activity at all, my knees were in so much pain from just trying to move and bend that I couldn't do basic things like a level change or shoot on my right knee because my knee was in dire pain.
A contributing factor to that may have been a little bit of weight gain.
Do you want to just let me talk?
On both parts.
So I started doing some virtual drilling with my friend Sam, good friend. So that is one thing that really will help you to get out of the hole, essentially, is a friend lifting you out of it, right? So if you do have any friends that you usually train with, send them a FaceTime request or
Zoom.
Go on Zoom. Maybe don't go on Zoom if you're not friends with China. So send them a FaceTime request and just drill with them. So the same exercises that you would do on your own in your living room. Say, how's it going, best training partner? Let's do some exercises together and try and do something from there. That's what's got me started doing some drilling at home, and then everything else. Then now I'm doing home workouts with Sam, with bands from influencers and all this sort of stuff. But it's just a matter of getting, once you get the ball rolling, no matter how small the ball is, then you can really get working. That was a really long-winded answer to just get something done. Right. Next question.
Just have a purpose. You're a bit grumpy this morning, eh?
What, oh, you just keep putting it in?
Do you think he's a bit grumpy? It's a conversation. It's two-way, no?
Two ways to just keep interrupting. Alright. Do you think Jiu-Jitsu helps your mental health as well as your physical? Actually, let's not ask that one yet, because that's very similar to the last one. What advice would you give on the journey from blue to purple?
Good question. I think this is the most difficult time and the most testing time as to whether you have a break and you don't come back, or you come back and you stay for life. There's between that jump. So the ball is tiny. So for me at blue belt, I took about 9 months off. So some of you know this story already. I was competing at white belt, lots of like smaller competitions. I think I mentioned this last week too. And then I got beat by the great Leonie Munslow, and she was probably one of the first people to ever beat me at the Bristol Open actually. And so after that, I was kind of like, well, this sucks. Who likes to lose? And just took about 9 months off. And then I had a bit of a change in life, and I was studying and stuff, and I was like, I really miss having a real strong purpose in my life. I tried to, start other team sports like basketball and things like this, and didn't overly enjoy it. Probably prefer it much being just about me. So then went back to Jiu-Jitsu, and that's when I really excelled. And I think when you have realised how many years that you've dedicated to the sport, it's hard to turn your back on that time and effort that's been put into it. But that's really when I feel you start to change the level and get a new understanding of what Jiu-Jitsu can bring with you, or can add to your life, and how the transferable skills that you develop across. I think we all know that Jiu-Jitsu is not an easy sport, to start and be consistent in and be successful in. So the more consistent and the more time and effort that you put into it, the more you get back from it. So I generally feel that between blue and purple, that's when you're really starting to figure out your game and your style and what works for you, and who your kind of role models and influencers are, the people that you look up to, and the people who, not necessarily like world champions or people who are doing very well, but the people who are consistent in what they do and how they achieve, and their kind of their enthusiasm for like different techniques and learning stuff. So I think surround yourself with those people, and those people who are consistent with their training and doing what they enjoy, and try to really tap in and figure out what your game is. Because then when you get to purple belt, this is when I feel you kind of step up in your guard game, and you start to explore, slightly different probably era now with people who are doing, worm guarded grey belt, but when I was training, a blue belt's game was very much a dynamic takedown, pass the guard, control, take the back and choke kind of situation, or close guard. So for me, I feel like that jump between the two really starts to differentiate what kind of player you are and what kind of path you're going to take, and whether you let the ego go completely and just put yourself in those difficult situations and explore the options and find someone who is kind of as enthusiastic as you are about it. That's when you're really going to excel. That's my advice.
I would agree with that. It's difficult to talk, because I think a lot of these questions are asked in terms of... hello.
Morning, Leslie.
Good morning. I think it's difficult to answer in terms of how people are asking. So I feel like...
Close guard isn't dead.
I feel like a lot of people ask this question about the journey from blue to purple because there may be hobbyists, and they train 3 times a week, but they're not necessarily competitors, so they're not overly involved in Jiu-Jitsu, train all the time. Their main goal is just to have fun and enjoy the training, which is something that I can't really comment on too well, because I've never been in that situation. Obviously, I competed as a blue belt in juvenile, and then adult, and then got switched to purple adult. But it was always with the focus of competing. So the only thing that I can talk to you about is obviously my competition experience. And like Sam said, it really just owns in on the one particular skill that you're really good at. So I was playing loads of 50-50 and attacking footlocks. And for me, in terms of seeking progression, it was always through one particular thing. Typically a submission. So when I first started, I was really good at omoplatas. Surprise, surprise. So I used to use the omoplata all the time, and at blue belt, used to use it loads. And then I switched into learning 50-50, and then I became really involved in 50-50. That was the only thing I wanted to do. And then we started learning some barambolas, and then that just took over as well. And then it's, instead of blue belt, you have all these different techniques swinging around your head. You're like, oh, which one shall I use? At purple, you seem to just have that direction of, this is the game I'm going to play, and this is what I'm good at. So I'm going to go in with everything that I have on this style. And for me, it was, at purple belt, was probably entering to 50-50 and footlocking people. And I got loads and loads of belly down footlocks from the 50-50. And again, that completely changed when I switched to brown. Brown, I started focusing on some wrestling and guard passing, because those were the parts of my game that I didn't use. You see, when I was competing as a blue belt, I would sweep myself because I didn't want to play on top. I knew the longer I played on top, the sooner it was that I was going to get triangled. And that was the most likely submission that I would get caught in. So rather than me at brown belt, I spent all my time passing close guard because that was the worst situation I could put myself in. But until that point, I was a naive blue and purple belt that didn't want to face his fears. So I would sweep myself to put myself into guard and then submit people from my guard, because that was where I was confident, right? And then it wouldn't always work out. Maybe it works like in the first round, second round, quarterfinals, semi-finals. You get to the final, then you sweep yourself and you lose 2-0.
It's a risky game.
It is, and it's not one that I would suggest. But back to the question, is what I'm saying is when you get to purple, that direction starts to come in. And purple was really when I started competing at all the major tournaments, world championships in the gi, Pan Ams in the gi. I went to the no-gi Pans, so it really, I was able to really find myself as a competitor. I started doing super fights as well. So pretty much at that point, you're still not far enough where you're a brown belt and you're close to black and you want to sort of limit your competitions. I can start to take a taste of all different competition sets. I love all the submission-only things, but I also love doing all the IBJJF tournaments. So it's a good mix to go in. Try everything. I think of purple belt as like a buffet of everything, and then start to find the ones that you like, and then eventually you start to go to a Michelin star restaurant because I like Italian cuisine, or maybe you just head over to Rome, much cheaper. Yeah.
Okay, Andy asked a good question. What do you think training will look like when/if we get back to it this year? I think we probably have different views on this.
If we get back.
Morning, Bob.
Okay.
Love the LA vlog. Nice.
What? I just spoke.
Okay. Difficult to say. I think it's really hard, and I think it's going to be, unfortunately, one of the last things that gets opened because of the close contact nature of it. We have seen some kind of setups where people are kind of distance training and using a dummy to be able to do that kind of training. So that's obviously potentially an option. Personally, I think that take this year to rest your injuries and work on your theory of jiu-jitsu, because I think it's going to be a long time before we get back to it. I honestly don't know how else it's going to look. Obviously there's predictions of a second wave of this, and there's also a prediction next year that it's going to come back, but we're not expecting it to be as severe, which is good news. But yeah, it's really difficult to say, to be honest, Andy.
Well, I think the first plan of action is non-contact training, which is what we're all doing at the moment, through the means of Zoom. I think ideally you would have non-contact training inside the academy. Right now, all outdoor activities are, you have unlimited outdoor exercise. So there's no reason why we can't do non-contact jiu-jitsu in the parks. And again, have an open mind to this, because this will look stupid. If you're practicing a sit-up sweep and you have an imaginary person inside your closed guard,
yeah, but that doesn't matter.
It will look silly, but
people are doing this already. We live on a park now, and people are training outside and stuff like that. But obviously, you can't. And you could potentially do it outside. The issue is there's no difference between doing it outside and doing it within the gym, just socially distanced. It's the same concept. So
what about the air?
It doesn't. It's still within
Air
2
conditioned.
meters, but they're not air conditioned.
No, I know, that's the problem. So the air's not being took out. It's all about the ventilation.
Well, I don't know. I think if you can be outside, it's exactly the same as if you can be inside with your projection, if you cough or splutter or something and you carry the virus. At the end of the day, I don't think it's any
So yeah, we go from
different.
non-contact training to essentially minimal contact afterwards. So you'll have, and then so the non-contact training will be, you'll have your dummy. So the ones that we made, I did a little video of it earlier, where you can, over here.
It's the sloth on my
The
shoulder.
sloth is over here. That's the person that I train with if I'm doing any solo drills. I do all my knee slices and my arm bar practice with a dummy.
On a sloth with no arms.
So there's actually, you've got quite a lot of room to play with when it comes to drilling with a dummy. There's quite a lot of different things, especially upper body attacks. I mean, obviously I've not made any legs for him, so I can't practice my leg entries, but you can do upper body attacks with a lot of the dummies. So that will start off, and you'll be socially distanced inside the academy. There probably won't be any changing rooms available and things like that. There won't be anywhere where you can just go and stand close to people, but you will have to social distance inside the academy, and then you'll train alongside that. Then we'll move into minimal contact training, where you will ideally have one designated training partner. Depending on who you're in the household with and things like that. So I might be, obviously I can train with Sam.
Great.
Now. So when this all eases up and the lockdown is sort of relaxed a little bit, then I might be able to train with one other person from a household. So I might have 2 different designated training partners, depending on if you're lucky enough to have a black belt roommate. So that will be the next step, is when I talk about minimal contact training, like Sam was mocking over here, it's not we're going to mime with each other and just try to move but without having contact. It is you just reduce your contact with everyone in the class. You see, we're not going to do like a specific train on the wall and you've got to grapple with every single person in the room and then have to carry 100 people sweat home with you. But you will have 1 or 2 partners that you can train with inside a...
Nia's moving in with you too.
inside a specific area, like a 6x6 area where you train in, and then you stay within that area. And then eventually we'll move into normal training, right? At some point. Go.
Okay, I was just going to say, my opinion on this scenario is the skills and the technique and the foundation that you have, a year is a long time, but you're not going to lose those. As soon as we get back into training, normal training, whether it takes the whole year or not, those things may be a little bit rusty, but they're going to refresh your mind. My personal opinion on this situation is keep yourselves physically fit, and because we know what the health benefits are for that and facing whatever may come ahead, but also for your mental health. So your home workouts or going for a run or trying something new that you can do within this time, I think it's really important. It helps you to kind of like open your mindset a little bit. You don't become so dependent on what Jiu Jitsu can offer us. I mean, don't get me wrong, I get the most from like when we have good spars and I'm sweating, I'm not thinking about what I'm doing, I'm not thinking about anything else, really is something that I really enjoy. And obviously we can't do that, but the same thing when I go for a run now, I get to think about all these things in my head and it really takes my mind off of stuff. Or we do the home workout and I'm just thinking about the exercises that I'm doing. But the whole point of it is that we're still keeping that general physical fitness. We can rehab our injuries, we can stretch and look after our bodies. We're not going to lose that much in a year's time. Okay, we might not be progressing in a technique point of view, but you can watch a lot of stuff and understand the concept of what you're doing and write those things down. Then when you come to practice them, you can practice them. Or you can use your dummy that you've made. But personally, we have a little squirrel friend that's just come to join us.
I wish I could show you this.
There's a squirrel literally looking through the door at us.
Yeah.
Anyway, keeping yourselves physically fit and mobile, I think, also makes you very accountable for your mental health and your physical health. So because when we don't have Jiu-Jitsu, we can have the government spying on us. We have other options of things to keep ourselves well. So I think don't be too negative about the whole scenario. If we're not in control of it, but you are in control of looking after yourself, your physical and your mental health.
Right. Now let's just take a little pause while I stop recording and then start recording again on the other camera, because we do have a live replay of quality.
And we have a squirrel. It is
Okay.
the government.
Next question we will answer Edson Lobo Denise's question. I've been focusing a lot on leg locks and guillotines, and I play top game. Do you think it is a mistake, as I'm a blue belt and not allowed to do leg locks under IBJJF rules? Now, that depends completely on what your focus is, what your goals are. If you want to be an IBJJF world champion, then yes, start practicing leg locks, because you need to spend some time on the blue belt meta, which is going to be dynamic guard passing and sweeps, right? If your goal is just to enjoy Jiu Jitsu, and right now you're really loving the trend of leg locks and guillotines, then go ahead, because there are no restrictions on your learning. Especially now when we have this worldwide resource of online training and instructionals, you can literally train under John Danaher in leg locks, right? If you go and buy his DVD. So you have the ability to learn whatever you want to learn, and you can then practice it in your academy when we get back to training. So, like I say, if you're not trying to be a great competitor and a world champion in something, then you have so much more room to play with and learn things, because you might find out that actually you really enjoy submission only ADCC style competition, or competition might not even be a goal at all, and in that case, leg lock all day. Originally the leg locks are brought in because people can't pass guard. So if you struggle to pass the guy's guard, we can't access the upper body submissions. We sit down and we start leg locking each other. And you want a good balance of both. Hence why you have the guillotine. You have a nice upper body attack, which will give access to the back. It will give access to other different things as well. Darce chokes, head and arm chokes. Use that to pass at the same time. And then you have your leg locks to fall back on if those aren't successful. So I don't think it's a bad strategy. I just think it depends solely on what your focus is. What do you want to do? If you want to compete IBJJF, let go of the John Danaher DVD and start watching Leandro Lo compete and watch about 10 hours of his footage. But again, we're training Jiu-Jitsu for a long time. For usually from white to black, it's probably about 10 years between that point. So you can't focus on toreandos and speed passing for 10 years. Like I said when I was talking earlier, is that I switch a lot between different submissions that work really well for me, and then I exhaust them until they no longer work, because I've done them so often to my training partners that they now know every counter in the book to my omoplata. So then I start footlocking them from 50-50, and I've realised 100 different ways of entering into the 50-50 and how to sweep in that position, until people then my training partners become experts in the 50-50. And then I start playing lasso guard, and right now I've been stuck on lasso guard for quite a while, or lapel guard, and you start wrapping them up in all different things and scoring sweeps. But the key thing is just seeking constant progression. So whatever. What are you laughing?
Just a long answer. Do you want my answer? Train whatever the hell you want. Whatever you enjoy, whatever sets your heart on fire, and even if that changes, it doesn't matter. Train what you want. Right.
Enough of that. We've got okay. Some comments coming through on the phone that we don't have on the
yeah.
Alright, so let's get into some technique questions. Because Sam is so friendly today, let's do some Peruvian Neck Ties. We had a question. This was from one of my very first vlog. I did a day in the life of a BJJ competitor, and one of the techniques I used in my sparring was a Peruvian neck tie. And I actually believed it. I actually learned it in the Judo Olympics. I watched like a Brazilian lady choke somebody, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So essentially, it's from a front headlock. So I've got my partner's head and arm like I'm attacking a guillotine. And then I feed my lapel to the armpit hand. So the one that's Like as though I'm setting up a darts choke.
Can I just say, Edson said thank you. I love my leg locks from you, by the way.
Oh, good man.
Me, right?
Okay.
Great.
Drop on your knees.
Who was asking about a Peruvian necktie?
Okay, so you have your guillotine essentially here, right? I'm going to be feeding the lapel to this hand. This would be where I set up the darts choke, right? For my Peruvian neck tie, I feed the left lapel, and this works really, really well because a lot of times you think, oh, well, I can't get my lapel to that hand without somebody stopping me. But at the same time, they're staring at the floor and having to defend the threat of the initial choke, right? So all I've got to do is keep my weight on top, I release, and I pass this through to my right hand. If you lift your head up, Sam. So my right arm is underneath the armpit and then controls onto the lapel. Now all I'm going to do from this point is I push Sam's head down, I step over the back of her neck, and then I enter into my Peruvian neck tie. So we have a little hop, get down on your elbows. Hop the hamstring right over the back of the neck. That's the first check in place.
I'm okay, Mum.
To prepare for the choke. The next thing I need to do is step over her back, because Sam's escape would be to forward roll. So as we get to here, I lean to my left side, I step over Sam's back, and now, if we twist this way a little bit, you can see that choke. All I've got to do is extend my left leg while I pull my right hand back. This is a really dirty choke, but it's very, very effective. There are very few people that I've got this on that haven't then tapped. Ready, sir? Let me show the people one more time.
Okay.
Here, come on over here.
Great.
Let's get a better view.
Oh.
Okay, so we've got to the front headlock. We're in position. Oh, my knee doesn't feel great. We're in position. I've got to my front headlock. I open up the lapel, feel it behind the head and to my right hand, as though I'm setting up a darts choke. Okay. A lot of times this hand will be on top of the neck. I'm going to jump up to step my hamstring over the back of Sam's neck, and as I sit down, I step straight over from here. You see? And all I'm doing from this point is I have that grip and I just extend in my left leg. I'm kicking Sam's head into my choke. So yeah, that's it's a disgusting choke, but it's brutally effective.
Did you see that, Leslie? Did you see that?
Now we have a question. Amar has a question.
Yeah.
Can you show the bread cutter?
The bread cutter.
All right. Actually, Sam's really good at this. You want to show the bread cutter?
Yeah, sure.
Just don't be too harsh on my throat.
What, like you were just really nice to me?
Yeah, I was.
I'm going to go this side there. Okay, so I'm in side control position here, and I want to be sneaky with this, okay? So I don't really want my partner to know what I'm going to go for. So I put a little bit of shoulder pressure on the chin to turn the face away. Now, keeping my chest down at this point, my hand that's underneath his arm on this side is going to come around. I'm just going to lift my hips up so you can see it and come underneath. So I'm coming underneath the shoulder here, yeah? So I want to sneak this in. So I put my pressure is initially on the shoulder. It's going to switch so that my shoulder's going right through the sternum. And then what we're going to do is creep this hand up so hopefully he can't feel it, okay? We're just going to come back a little bit. Yeah, so lift your head a little bit for me. So we're here, yeah? This is really sneaky so that we don't know what's going on. Again, my shoulder is still through his sternum. I turn to look towards his head. And then I'm going to wrap this one over the top here to come onto the lapel. Thumb inside, elbow down to the ground. And then I start to walk towards the head to put the pressure on. Yeah? So once more. Side control position. I want to turn the face away to start with. Reach the right hand around and underneath. I'm going to switch my weight now so my shoulder is going through his sternum. Underneath, sneaky little grip on the lapel here. Whilst I'm still looking at him, into his eyes. The other hand's going to come over the top and grab the lapel in front here. We're going to sprawl our weight down, elbow down to the ground. Right there? Payback. And then start to walk towards the head to put it on. Oh, thanks, bud. I really like this because it's really sneaky. Hard for the person to defend the arm that's coming over the top if they haven't felt the sneaky grip on the back of the collar there.
Right. Next question. How to enter into single leg X from standing? And this question has been asked like for a few weeks, so we're finally getting onto this. This is from Professor Samuel Khan in Birmingham, England. Actually, it's in Wolverhampton.
AKA
really.
Sam.
Okay, so starting from standing, let's see if you can all fit us in over here. Now, my favourite way of entering to the single leg X is with a basic guard pull with the foot in the hip. But what I'll do is wrap the ankle immediately with a footlock grip. So we're almost going to come into an immediate tripod sweep and then come into a belly down footlock. So essentially, I have my grips. I'm in position, so I have a collar and an elbow. Remember, when you're gripping the elbow, we always grip at the seam. So find the seam of your partner's gi, grip and lock. Now I'm going to be pulling with the same side leg that I have my partner's hand fixed to my collar. So right now it'll be my left side here. As I pull with my left, I wrap towards this point. Now, if you notice here, levitate again. Look. Just lift your leg off the ground. This is the situation that Sam comes in. I have the collar grip, I have my foot directly underneath Sam's hip, and my right foot on the inside here, ready to guide her ankle. So when she tries to step towards the floor, we move the leg. Scoring our tripod sweep, putting Sam's hip on the ground, and then I'm able, with my foot already in position, here, to start moving into our straight ankle lock. So let's do that again. So, I'm in position, let's switch to the I fall, catch this leg, and again I'm pulling this in nice and tight, my right foot hooks underneath, and I'm into my X guard. If I want to sweep immediately, this hook is already here. I lift with my left leg, putting Sam's weight over here for me to guide her foot out of the way.
This looks familiar to anybody that's ever come to the webinar. Oh no! Have we been lost?
Dunno. I'm having trouble with playing this video.
She said, is it legal for kids? I need to go to the lift.
Yes.
It's what, the footlock?
Yeah.
It's not, is it?
No, she's asking about the can everybody see me? Yeah. Yeah, you're still live. Okay. Alright. We're just taking a quick break while Sam is going to the bathroom. Right now, all I can see is, sorry we're having trouble with playing this video, but then I can also see myself on the Facebook Live phone as well. So we're in. Love it. Okay. So we'll continue on. We are then going to look at our practice, continue on with the guard pulls to the single leg X. This is one of my favorites, and again it works into an immediate sweep, so then you score a belly down footlock as soon as you land the sweep. But in terms of getting into single leg X with people that are maybe tougher at pulling guard on, then we'll enter grabbing the belt. And this is a period of time where I was using belt guard. So we're going to reach to grab onto my partner's belt, sit to guard from there, and then once I have control over the belt, I have control over the hips. And this is a grip that I use in the single leg X. If I get there by other means, I will go immediately towards grabbing the belt as well. So.
Oh, so it's still running, but just not on the screen. Interesting.
So, if I'm here, I'm with Sam, I want to enter into the single leg X again. But maybe I'm struggling to make grips with my partner, and I know she wants to pull guard with me. And if I want to get to single leg X, I grab the belt and sit. And then once I've got my position from here, I have a fast guard pull to enter into position. And now I use this to guide myself, you see? Again, if my hand's in the center of the belt, it means wherever Sam's hips go, I'm in control of. You see, so now I can score ankle picks and I can enter in to single leg X really easily from this point. Because now, let's shuffle back that way just a little bit. Once I am underneath Sam's hips and I have this belt grip, this was the the position I was talking about that I will go to even if I'm just here. So if I get to the single leg extra from other means, I go straight to the belt and then I pull my hips up to stay active with my partner, because now when I try to sweep, I off balance Sam super easily because I'm constantly attached to her. You see, if I let go, my hips immediately drop because I have to be active here. You see, the moment I pull on the belt, I'm attached. We have now become one. When I move, she moves. You see? And then this belt grip here works really well as a means of defending guard passes as well. You see, if Sam tries to Toriando around towards the other side, I can keep my arm extended. You see? Just around the other way. Now, a lot of people question, can they fly and triangle you? No, I have control over the hips. So if she does try to jump, she will land an arm's length away from me and give me the sweep. So this belt grip is really, really effective. Not something that I've gone into too often. Again, it's still sort of an experimentation in the BH game, but that is another avenue into the single leg extra standing that I would use quite a lot.
It's also very frustrating when Bradley plays this type of guard, as we both know, that I get very frustrated with it, because it's something that almost I don't respect. And I feel like, well, you're just holding onto my belt. Like, why is this stopping me from moving? But it's actually really frustrating. And then the problem is, because I get frustrated, I end up giving up situations, and he capitalizes on them. So it's a very awkward guard. Guard.
But it's the other aspect to it that works really well is that the grip is almost unbreakable.
Yeah.
Once I have a hold of your belt, it's very hard for you to try to pull that off of your belt. Okay? So at that point, I can then enter into butterfly guard. If they drop to the knees, I can enter into single leg X and X guard. I have a lot of different avenues of sweeping once I'm there. Right. Should we have a look at what else we have?
Yeah. You could also pull just with collar and sleeve instead.
Do you want to show Sam how you enter into single leg X?
Yeah, so a slightly different approach, and a lot of the time I've used this no-gi, but if you've got the grips as well, it can be even better, but just to sit and pull the person over the top and just be quick to put the hooks in place. So let's say we're here, my partner's staying away from me, just step inside and pull over and come straight in.
Another completely viable option of entering into single leg X.
Yeah.
So it works very well in no-gi as well,
no-gi, yeah.
Especially if you want to start attacking leg locks. I would go from a 2-on-1 control and then slide straight in from there.
Yeah.
We're just watching ourselves on the replay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But as long as your legs are reactive, obviously people might be concerned that you can get straight to a mount position there. But the idea is that you'll be pushing your partner away to cause a reaction for them to come in. So then when you release that pressure and they step over you, they're going too far to be able to then just sit down. And then you have your legs in place as well.
Okay. We'll do one last thing here, guys, which is defending knee bars to finish off.
Is your camera okay?
Yeah. If you do have any questions, just before we end, we have surpassed this 45-minute mark completely. But if you do have any more questions, drop them in, and we might be able to answer them if they are quick. Yes, bread cutter is legal for kids. That is perfectly legal. Nothing to stop them from doing that. Ezekiel chokes, no, but bread cutters, they are fully legal. So, knee bar. Now, this is one of those instances where we look at, we're going to come on top, from the deep half guard back take. So a lot of times, if you come on over here into a knee slice.
I'm just going to put this here so you can see what we're doing here. Because this is a bit, should we just tilt this down? Hang on.
No, that's all right.
Yeah, because we can't see it.
Alright.
Okay.
So, if you come into a knee slice with your left leg, and you back step over to attack the knee bar on the other side. Oh, okay. So you get to this position where your partner sat on top of you. Now, originally, the first thing I need to do is protect my right leg, right? So I close my triangle. Now I can't stay here for too long, so I'm exposing my left foot for the toe holds. So what I immediately start to do is drop my right knee to the floor. You see? So I switch and drop, putting the hips on the mat, and I'm immediately attacking the back. This is a super easy position for you to get the back from. You see, if I'm in the gi, I open the lapel out. You see, I need to feed this out from here, and then pass it to my hand. So I'm making a bar across Sam's shoulder line, you see, from one shoulder blade to the other. So you pull the lapel out, grip as close as you can to the armpit, and lock that in from there. Because this is really controlling her upper body rotation, you see. She can't turn in to face me anymore. Now I'm still protecting my feet, but because my knee has got towards the ground, if you open your legs up, Sam, real quick, my knee has already reached the floor, it's no longer inside Sam's legs. I'm able to open and then switch my hooks into my power. Ta-da, you see? Now from this point, I post on my elbow, I bring my knee out, and I start accessing the back, using my power hook to get there. So that works really well. Let's just do that one more time. We'll go a little bit further away. So, Sam starts attacking these knee bars. We get towards this point, I reach straight across the hip line, close my triangle, and start turning inwards. Putting this knee on the ground. You see? Once I'm there, close up until we can get control over this gi from here. You see? From that point, we're going to open up your triangle, step into the knee line. So I open, step inside. I can use my secondary leg, my right foot now, to clear this up just a little bit, to bring that hook inside. And then I post on my elbow to retract my knee. I have this power hook over here, see? From this point, then I just drag Sam back towards the other side to access the back, entering the second hook. That is, again, one of the easiest ways to defend the knee bars and access the back straight from it. You'll notice it's a similar avenue to when people go for roll and toe holds and you jump on the back from there. When it comes to toe holds, it requires a little bit of flexibility or a little bit of stubbornness not to tap while you're in the process of taking the back, but you will get to the back sooner rather than later.
Alright guys, we're going to wrap it up there for the 4th Team Chill Mondays, like a lapel lasso. Really sorry if we didn't get to answer any of your questions, but tune in next Monday and feel free to send them to us. Just want to give a really big shout out to our sponsors, Scramble, for continuing to sponsor us even in this difficult time. We love your stuff and we love you guys, so thank you very much. Anything you want to say?
Also, we spoke about Corner Me, BJJ earlier. That's the platform that we're on for all of our private training, all of our online tuition. So if you do want to book a private lesson with us, head on over there. Again, there are loads of different coaches on there that you will have access to. So be my guest, head on over to Corner Me BJJ, have a look at all the different things that we're offering, and try and get yourself a private lesson with world champions.
Yep, and see you guys next week.
For your favourite day of the week.
You just have the last word, don't you? Keep on